Hello. We are going to continue looking through this vintage magazine that I found at my local thrift. And whenever I see these, I grab them. They don't come up very often. But I grab them when I can. All right, we did look through this last night, but we didn't. Look, you can see my head. That's my bangs. I'm trying to see what you see because I don't know if you're getting a good view or not. I don't know. Probably all crooked. I'm trying my best. Okay. It's hard to tell. I suppose that's good enough. Okay, we look through all this. The nanny vanishes. That seems scandalous. Timmy's here. The old gang's here. Just, he's chewing up a storm. And I just love this photograph of Princess Anne. I just think she looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, in red and gold with the cream colored roses. Oh, beautiful. The pearl drop earrings. Wow. I love the hair. It's so Edwardian. It's, the 80s did a really beautiful revisit to Edwardian and the 1930s, late 1920s drop-waisted looks. And I can't get enough. Beautiful. Gorgeous. All right, I hope you can hear me. My mic's a little far away. All right, Princess Margaret in her beautiful emerald green. It looks like a taffeta, perhaps, and then a gold purse. And then she's got the beautiful flowers that the greenery is mirroring the green of her dress. These beautiful puff sleeves off shoulder. Look, gasp, her diamonds. She just looks stunning. She looks beautiful. The queen, of course. Beautiful royal blue. She's got that gorgeous brooch. Great hat. Big smile. Princess Michael coming back from her Caribbean holiday. Looking refreshed. She's got her dupatta thrown over her shoulders. Her aviators. Hair pulled back. Beautiful. Princess Diana looking forlorn. She never looked as beautiful, did she? She was forlorn. She was just so, she just looked so gorgeous. I love this whole thing. The pearls, the lace, love it. Love it all. And then she's in Brixton, and then she's dressed up. She looks like she's a little concerned. She's got a little grimace on her face. Receiving flowers. She's got a nice 3/4 length coat with looks like a cream pleated skirt underneath that matches. Looks like she's a black turtleneck underneath the coat. Black purse, black shoes. Lovely red suit. And a beautiful portrait. I was thinking before that beauty standards have changed so much, and I think it's such a shame. It makes me so sad. Because, I'm spilling Sprite all over myself. Because I don't know that if she was a young woman today, that she would be considered very beautiful at all by the popular media. I think they would say that, her teeth weren't quite right. They would definitely say her nose was too big. They would say her teeth weren't wide enough. You know what I mean? I just think she would be picked apart. And I mean, she was picked apart, but I think everyone found her to be very beautiful. But yeah, I'm just 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. It changes so much. You've got the Duchess of Gloucester, Princess Alexandra, and Duchess of Kent. So this is Princess Alexandra, and then I believe that's the Duchess of Kent, if I can recall by sight. And the Duchess of Gloucester, I believe. Is this the Duchess of Gloucester? It says far right, and this is far left. So, I don't know. You can help me out here. I do believe, I think that is, who's this? Duchess of Kent, right? That's Duchess of Kent. And that's Princess Alexandra? I don't know. So we saw this, and Prince Edward was just 23 the month that this came out, and he had left the, there's Prince Philip right there. I thought it was this guy, and I was so confused. I'm like, that's not him, but no, that Prince Philip's right there watching the interaction. Yes. So apparently they were very upset, the royal family, that he left the Royal Marines. So here's where we left off. A royal family at war? Prince Philip has never claimed to be an intellectual steeped in alternative philosophies. He holds simple, straightforward, and direct views, and has never been afraid of expressing them strongly. Was the family crisis over Prince Edward's decision to quit the Royal Marines an inevitable consequence of a generation gap? A royal family at war? When Prince Edward made his recent agonizing and courageous decision to abandon his officer training course in the Royal Marine Corps, his father is reported to have erupted into a volcanic fit of fury. Those who know Prince Philip would not have been in the least surprised by such an intemperate reaction, and would have well understood the underlying reasons. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I want to go over and read this. Sometimes I see William now in his 40s when I look at younger photographs of Philip. I mean, not surprising, it's his grandfather, but I just love seeing the family likeness. Father and youngest son walk in the snow-bound grounds of Sandringham as the royal family resolves the crisis brought on by Edward's decision to resign his commission in the Royal Marines. Facing his father was undoubtedly the most nerve-wracking aspect of the young prince's dilemma. Facing his father was undoubtedly the most nerve-wracking aspect of the young prince's dilemma, much more so than facing his fellow trainees or senior officers, all of whom tried hard to persuade him to stay, but ultimately understood and respected his decision despite their dismay. But the most dismayed of all was Prince Philip, having finally taken a grip on his temper. Philip, no doubt, did his best with strong and reasoned argument to persuade his son to stay the exceptionally tough Marines training course, at least until the end of his first year, when he could have resigned with his honor and dignity intact. But Edward's mind was made up. His view was that if he did not quit there and then, he would be committed for a full 9 years to a career for which he was patently not cut out. In a personal letter to the Marines Commandant, is it Commandant? No, it's Commandant. Commandant General, which was leaked to a newspaper, Prince Philip revealed his sadness, made it clear that the final decision had been Prince Edward's alone, and expressed his fear that his son now faced a very difficult problem of readjustment period, full stop. It was a letter redolent of disappointment. Where's my pencil? Public sympathy was on the side of Edward, for why should he be forced to endure a way of life he so obviously disliked? Sending royal sons into the armed forces is a tradition, not an obligation, and there seems little sense in imposing it on the Queen's youngest son, who is highly unlikely ever to ascend the throne, and whose public duties will always be minimal. And there are precedents. The Earl of Harewood, cousin of the Queen, has spent his working life as a distinguished arts administrator. The present Duke of Gloucester, another close relative, avoided the armed forces entirely and became an architect. His elder brother, Prince William, killed in an air crash in 1972, did likewise and became a career diplomat. I think there's a really good documentary about that, about Prince William, and he was handsome, and he was in love with this, I think she was a divorced single mother. Oh, they just had such a hard time. It was devastating. But none of these men had Prince Philip for a father. Not only does he have a pathological hatred of failure, he is a firm believer in the school of hard and preferably dangerous physical activity being the best of all character builders. His attitudes stem partly from his own experience of childhood and partly from his present position as the Queen's consort. Prince Philip of Greece was barely a year old when his family had to flee their home in Corfu to spend several years of gypsy roaming among royal relatives in various parts of Europe. His father, Prince Andrew of Greece, faced a charge of treason from the Greek government for alleged desertion of duty while a cavalry officer in the border war against the Turks. His skin was saved only by the intercession of a distant relative, King George V of England, who sent a warship to rescue the family. The strain of banishment quickly told on Philip's parents, and they drifted apart. His father to die in greatly reduced circumstances in Monte Carlo, and his mother to withdraw into a religious order of her own creation. A childhood of being bounced between several royal houses, none of which he could truly call home, soon taught Philip a brisk form of self-reliance, unfettered by too many emotional ties. Only when his uncle, Lord Louis Mountbatten, took him under his wing and inculcated him into a naval officer's no-nonsense way of thinking. Into an officer's nonsense way of thinking. Did Philip have anyone he could remotely regard as a father figure? Such a start in life virtually guaranteed that Philip would flourish in the Spartan physical atmosphere of Gordonstoun School, where academic study, it's hard for me to read at this angle, guys, took second place to the development of the school's own concept of character and leadership. His headmaster and the school's founder, Kurt Hahn, who unashamedly sought to turn out an elite of future leaders, observed that while Philip was academically uninspiring, he was always extremely willing and enthusiastic about any task and tackled it with great care and attention to detail. Philip's reward was to be made guardian, the name Gordonstoun gives to its head boy. Hahn's final report on his most distinguished pupil said, "Prince Philip is universally trusted, liked, and respected. He has the greatest sense of service of all the boys in the school." Hahn and Mountbatten both deeply instilled the ideas of duty and service, were the two biggest influences on Philip's life. Philip followed school with an impeccable career in the Navy, including wartime active service. But when he achieved his first command of HMS Magpie, he attracted a reputation as a zealous disciplinarian who would not tolerate laziness or slapdash work. His immense drive also bred in him a fearful impatience and an imperfect ability to cope with himself when the tide was not running his way. He reportedly sulked for weeks when, as a consequence of the declining health of King George VI and an increasing burden of public duties on his wife, he was obliged to give up his naval career. Equally important in the molding of his attitude to his children is the position he has found himself in since his wife ascended the throne as Queen Elizabeth II in 1952, after less than 5 years of marriage. Far sooner than either side she or her husband might reasonably have expected or wished. Did I just add the word side in there? Who knows? Who knows what I do? The role of husband to a reigning queen is ill-defined, imprecise, and officially non-existent. He takes no part in the formal business of state beyond walking by the queen's side and has no access to her official papers. He has no constitutional function. Oh, man, that is rough, isn't it? I want to look at these first because I hate it when, like, this sentence doesn't finish and then I have to come back. Charles is the least like his father, always a perceptive and sensitive child. He has grown thoughtful and introspective, prepared to question the established order in a way his father never would. Anne is the closest of all in personality, not at all academic, but bright, energetic, and direct, with no time for fools and working exceptionally hard in full public view. I like Anne. Andrew is bluff, direct, and uncomplicated. An action man like his father, but without his sharpness of mind and following the traditional path expected of him in the Royal Navy. Edward remains something of an unknown quantity at 22. With little public exposure until recently, he still appears to have an air of uncertainty and immaturity, unsure of what to do. Prince Edward on exercise with the Marines, but was the sending of royal sons to the armed forces being turned into an obligation rather than a tradition? The next generation of royals is likely to find other ways of proving its character and its worth. Is it? Prince Philip, did William do active service? Can't remember. I think he did. Harry did. Prince Philip decided firmly from the very beginning that his primary role must be that of father, bringing up children in peculiar circumstances and difficulties that are almost without equal in any other family in the world, and guiding them through pressures and snares that could so easily break their young lives. He faced this task at a particularly difficult time. On the one hand, a post-war world of relative egalitarianism was likely to question more than ever before the worth of having a monarchy at all, while on the other hand, the private lives of monarchy were attracting an unprecedented degree of public curiosity. Prince Philip is no intellectual steeped in alternative philosophies. He holds simple, straightforward, and direct views, and holds them extremely strongly. One such view is that the world does not owe the royal family a living. It must earn its keep, not in any purely financial sense, and it must be seen to earn its keep. It must constantly show that it is a worthwhile institution, and its members must always show dedication to the curious job that an accident of birth has allotted them. Otherwise, they do not deserve their privileges, and the institution does not deserve to survive. Prince Philip has tried hard to apply these guidelines to 4 children of widely differing personality and temperament, most noticeably by sending all 3 sons to his own alma mater at Gordonstoun. Prince Charles is the least like his father. Always a perceptive and sensitive child, he has grown thoughtful and introspective, questioning the established order in a way that his father would never do. His father was said to be greatly annoyed that, in order to spend time at home with his very young children, Prince Charles, for a time, virtually abandoned all public engagements. His father is also suspicious of his eldest son's occasional flirtations with fringe medicine and religions, and the fact that he often appears happier milking cows on one of his farms than treading the public stage. Prince Andrew is bluff, direct, and uncomplicated, an action man like his father, but without his father's sharpness of mind. Princess Anne is closest of all in personality and temperament to her father, not at all academic, but bright, energetic, and direct, having no time for fools or footerers, and working hard in full public view, for Save the Children and for other charities. Prince Edward, having had little public exposure until recently, remains something of an unknown quantity. At the age of 22, he still appears to have an air of uncertainty and immaturity, unsure of what to do with his life. Uncertainty is not a trait of which Prince Philip approves, and any suggestion that a young prince's future might consist of doing nothing very much in particular beyond having a good time would earn the most severe parental disapproval. And opting out of a Marine's training course, however unbearable it might be, smacks too much of wimpishness and defeat for Prince Philip's robust philosophy of life. From his point of view, Prince Edward's resignation also smacks of a member of the royal family being able to do exactly what he wants, when he feels like it, with no regard for those around him. But any father must come to terms with the fact that in the end he cannot make a 22-year-old son do anything against the son's own will. Prince Philip's greatest fear must be that his son will now enter a period of aimlessness, with no obvious goal, a situation in which the 22-year-old Prince Edward would be far from unique. In fairness to Prince Edward, it would appear that he was badly advised. The Royal Marine Corps is an elite and exceptionally tough specialist fighting force, requiring men of unusual, even strange qualities. If the prince had to serve a period in the forces, he ought to have been steered towards a more suitable unit, better fitted to his talents and temperament. Most will applaud his decision to quit rather than chain himself to 9 years of misery, and most will applaud him for breaking a convention which is perhaps becoming outdated. Prince Philip's outlook has steered his family on a generally successful path and bound it together for nearly 40 years, but the next generation is likely to find other ways of proving its character and its worth. Alan Hamilton is the royal correspondent of the Times and the author of several books on the royal family. Elizabeth II, 60 Years of Portraits. Can you see these? The first and less controversial of the Pietro Annigoni portraits is considered by many experts to be the greatest royal portrait of the century. When the Queen sat for the artist between October and Christmas 1954, in conversation she said, "When I was a little child, it always delighted me to look out the window and to see the people in traffic go by." Immediately, Annigoni suggested that Her Majesty change her pose so that she was looking out the window. "I began to sense," he records, "what it means to be queen in a land where the queen is loved by millions. I had to try to get into the portrait the feeling of being close to the people, yet very much alone." Wow, didn't he do a beautiful job? I just think, hold on. I think it's such a beautiful portrait. And the landscape behind her. Wow. She does look very beautiful and stately. 52 years separate the portrait of the 7-year-old Princess Elizabeth left, and the almost photographic representation of Her Majesty, far right, by Michael Leonard. That's this one. Wow, that is almost photographic. The fascinating exhibition of portraits of the Queen mounted by the National Portrait Gallery covers 60 years and includes all the well-known paintings, as well as splendid photographs. The unusual is also on display in the form of William Roberts' 1959 oil on canvas above, of Trooping of the Color, which transforms that colorful spectacle into a toy soldier's parade ground maneuver. Oh, there she is. Yeah, that is quite something. Jane Fincher continues her new series by putting the Duchess of York under the fashion spotlight in the past month. How the snood made a royal comeback. I remember my mom having snoods in the 90s. This part is just a barrette. And then the net, so you could clip your hair into a ponytail essentially, and then you just slip pony into the snood. Or you could, it looks like this has been twisted a little. You could twist it lightly into a bun shape and then place it in the snood. And you know what? One of the reasons that I started growing my hair long is because I wanted to wear one of these again. So eventually, whoever would have thought that Sarah would have brought back the snood? The what, I hear you ask? The snood, I reply, hastening to explain that the device in which the Duchess's beautiful long red hair was netted when she opened an exhibition of watercolors in London's Park Lane was originally an industrial safety device rather than a fashion accessory. And not content with her snood, be patient and I'll explain. And another of those bows... What? And another of those bows matching the fabric of her suits, the Duchess of York must have been looking at the family album and discovered the mini. Well, not quite the mini, but getting on that way. Or, if the inspiration did not come from old snaps, the Duchess knows full well that above-the-knee skirts have been adorning the catwalks at Paris fashion shows for well over a year now. That's the skirt, and I think this skirt too. She's referring to. This is a lovely I just love this outfit. I wish that Sarah had leaned more into this look. If she had really leaned into that sort of Edwardian, also 1940s look, I don't know, her face structure, something about her, it looks so beautiful in this. I think when she's leaned more towards the fashion of the 80s, that's when she tended to look, frumpy and dowdy and kind of a hot mess express. But I think this sort of look suited her so very well. So far, so good. Now about the snood. During the war, when thousands of women became factory workers, the snood was all the rage as it allowed them to net up their hair for safety when working with machinery. Hollywood stars such as Ginger Rogers started to wear them, and of course, it was only a matter of time before it became a trend among the fashion-conscious of the day. An exhibition of costumes and paintings from Tsarist Russia was the occasion for Sarah to display, below right, a knee-length leather skirt with a blue and black pleated top, a touch of the Russian peasant look. Madame Olga Zamantina, wife of the Russian ambassador, summed it up. "She is so lovely and so fashionable," she sighed. Oh man, it's just pure ice. I just hear someone scraping the ice off their vehicle. Ugh. The day William found a school and lost his nanny. Aww. Thursday, 15 January 1987, was one of those milestone days that Prince William will never forget. He started attending a new school and also said goodbye to his adored nanny, Barbara Barnes. Margaret Holder charts the progress of the prince. The baby William with his nanny, Barbara Barnes. Speculation and rumors surround her resignation. Announced on the day William started at his new school. To his mother and father, he is Wills, or Willy Wombat. To Australians, he is the Sunshine Kid. To his former kindergarten colleagues, he is Billy Basher. But to most of us, he is just William, an impish and lovable royal rascal. We have watched him grow from a baby in his mother's arms to a schoolboy in a uniform a size too large. We greeted his birth at St. Mary's Hospital, Paddington, on 21 June 1982. Saw him tour Australia and New Zealand with his parents, watched him develop into tearaway toddler, a kindergarten kid at Mrs. Miner's exclusive nursery, a playful page boy at Prince Andrew's wedding, and now we have witnessed his first step on the ladder which may lead to an education in the royal tradition. At 4.5, William left his nursery school for the princely pursuits of the 3 R's, and a curriculum embracing music and manners to befit him for his future role. The Prince and Princess of Wales scoured London to find the right school for his pre-preparatory years, and found the answer in advice from their next-door neighbors. Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, who live in an adjoining apartment at Kensington Palace, sent their son, Lord Frederick Windsor, to Wetherby School, and were delighted with the results. Young Freddie changed from a boisterous little boy to a model pupil. A 10-minute rush hour ride away from Kensington Palace, Wetherby had the advantage of being near home, something Diana insisted on. As a former nursery helper and now a protective parent, the princess felt that William would adjust to school more easily if he knew that home was virtually round the corner. Another big plus for Wetherby was the fact that it had already passed the security clearance necessary for a small royal pupil. Even so, it is rumored that additional measures have been taken. Wetherby is for boys only, so William will be spared the temptation of teasing little girls, something he is prone to. If we recall his antics toward his cousins, Laura Fellows and Zara Phillips, at the last royal wedding. At £785 a term, Wetherby fees are rather expensive. That precludes the entry of the progeny of some aspiring parents. The school's exclusivity is also guaranteed by the vetting of its other 120 pupils and their background. Some of William's new classmates will be mini aristocrats whose parents live in London during the week, then head for the country home on a Friday for a weekend's hunting, shooting, or fishing. And that could lead to criticism that William's range of contacts is becoming more limited, rather than being extended to include children of all social classes. William's new headmistress is Miss Blair Turner, a strikingly tall lady with a long plait, and an air of authority. there she is with her long braids. I love the blue. Look, and oh, wouldn't that be a nice teacher? Oh, look, she's so 80s. Look at this. Sorry, got to take a moment and appreciate. Look, so she's got the blue jacket. You can see she's got a blue turtleneck on. Now, I remember my mother doing this in the early 90s, and I remember she did it to me too. Matching the hosiery to the outfit. So this is her blue skirt. It might be a dress, but there's also a jacket. The blue hosiery, the blue shoe, the blue hair clip. Oh, honestly. 1987. I was a year old. Well, depends on what time of year it was, because I was born in the end of November in 86. Oh my gosh. Okay. She has a reputation for keeping order effectively and insisting on the highest standards of behavior. William will have to watch his P's and Q's as much as his 3 R's. A cheeky grin from Prince William left as he arrives with his mother at Wetherby School in London. The school above is a 10-minute rush hour ride away from home at Kensington Palace. Princess Michael's son, Lord Frederick Windsor, also attended Wetherby. Opposite, a friendly greeting from the school's headmistress, Miss Blair Turner. The school's atmosphere is academic, but pupils are not overpressured. There is a recognized feed into pre-preparatory schools, such as Summerfields, near Oxford, Westminster under and Colette Court, both London day schools, and Sunningdale near Ascot. Another possible future school is Peter Phillips boarding house at Port Regis. In avoiding Hill House, Charles's first school, we can see that there may be some truth in the theory that the Prince of Wales so disliked his own education that he has vowed never to send his sons to the same schools. If that is true, then Cheam and Gordonstown will not see William among their ranks. While William is at Wetherby, Charles will have ample opportunity for showing his paternal skills. He can enter the annual 3-legged race for fathers on Sports Day, and Charles's decisions for his elder son are beginning to show in another sphere. It is believed that Charles, as much as Diana, could have played his part in the circumstances leading to Nanny Barbara Barnes' resignation. To the public it was a bombshell, but behind the scenes there had been murmurings for some time. It is said that Barbara tried to quit before, but was persuaded to stay by Charles's bodyguard, Chief Inspector John Maclean, now also gone from his service. At Prince Andrew's wedding, it was the Ferguson family nanny who was given pride of place, not Barbara Barnes, who, as nanny to the future king, outranked any other nannies. She wasn't even invited. Oh. Did she write a book? When the palace was questioned about the presence of Mrs. Lorna Tucker in the royal carriage procession, and the extraordinary absence of Barbara Barnes, a hasty last-minute decision took William out of Mrs. Tucker's landau into Prince Edward's. At least things were less obvious that way. Barbara came to the Wales household on the recommendation of Princess Margaret. She had been nanny to the children of Lord Glenconner, then Colin Tennant. She had helped to rear the Tennants' 5 children, and was like a second mother to the younger ones. By all accounts, Barbara was blissfully happy with the Tennants, who treated her as an honored guest at Lord Glenconner's 60th birthday party on Mystique in December. It has been said that Diana was none too pleased to read reports of Barbara as the belle of the ball. Life in the Wells household may not have been as Barbara anticipated. Diana was almost 21 when she gave birth to William, and, despite her previous child-minding experience, was simply a young, nervous, first-time mother trying to cope with a demanding baby. Diana and Charles read every child care book they could lay their hands on. They were loving and indulgent parents, but as William passed out of babyhood, they found him as lively as his first cousins, Peter and Zara Phillips. Last year, there were frequent tales of William's misdemeanors, swigging cherry pop in a larder, dangling Harry out of a window over a 30-foot drop, flushing shoes and toys down the loo and encouraging Harry to do the same. A story that Diana had smacked William for pestering policemen on patrol at Highgrove proved that she was not the paragon parent we had assumed her to be. Or she's just a normal parent, overwrought. Tales that Nanny Barnes was not strict enough are countered by evidence from interviews with the tenant children. Barbara was a firm, no-nonsense nanny who put them in their place when necessary, but she was too modern to wear a uniform and preferred to be addressed as Barbara. This may not have pleased older members of the royal family. The root of the trouble seems to be that when Diana and Charles considered a flexible routine in the upbringing of their children, what Diana and Charles considered a flexible routine in the upbringing of their children amounted to inconsistency. It became a seesaw world for Nanny Barnes. Some days she assumed total control because the parents were away. Then at other times her authority was swept aside by Diana, who insisted on keeping William up to see Papa. Add to that Charles's increasing conservatism in bringing up his sons. Miss Barnes, who left without finding another appointment, and before a replacement was found, had been expected to stay until all the Wales children grew up. The Queen's nurse, Bobo, is still with her in service, and Charles's nanny, Mabel Anderson, went on to serve Princess Anne's family until her retirement. The palace admitted that the decision had been mutual, and that discussions had been going on for 10 days prior to her departure. The announcement said, as Prince William is now to attend school full-time, it has been mutually decided by Miss Barnes and the Prince and Princess that it is an appropriate time for her to move. The little boy in Form 1 read at Wetherby knew nothing until he went home, clutching a brightly colored collage. Some might say that it was the worst possible moment for someone he loved to leave him. I agree. But at 4 1/2, whether you are a prince or a pauper, the world can be a puzzling place. The Flying Duchess on the Pist. The Duchess of York slipped off to Closters in Switzerland with a few friends for a quick refresher course on the ski slopes before the annual skiing holiday with her husband, Prince Andrew, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, an expert skier noted for her recklessness. Sarah stayed with friends in a rented chalet and managed to squeeze in some traditional après-ski activity too. Full coverage of the royal ski holiday in our next issue. Oh, this is so cute. This person who had this magazine has highlighted some of the pen friends. Okay, hold on. These are the ones that they've highlighted. I am 16 years old and would like pen friends from Britain and the Commonwealth who share my interest in the royal family. I will answer all letters, and they're from British Columbia. I am 18 and would like to hear from anyone around the world interested in Diana and Charles. From Milton Keynes, England. I am 41 and interested in the royal family, especially the Wales family. I would like to correspond with someone who is an Avon representative from Auckland, New Zealand. Oh my goodness. Oh, this has all of their engagements. There's so many, we won't read them all. Tuesday 10th. March engagements? Tuesday 10th, 11 a.m. The Queen will hold an investiture at Buckingham Palace. The Princess Anne, Mrs. Mark Phillips, patron of the British Executive Office Service Overseas, will visit their London office at 10 Belgrave Square. The Princess Anne, Mrs. Mark Phillips, Honorary President of the Chartered Institute of Transport, will attend the Institute's annual Philip Henman Overseas Lecture at the Institution of Civil Engineers. Isn't this great? Tuesday, March 17th, 1987, 11 a.m. The Queen will hold an investiture at Buckingham Palace, and at 12 noon, the Princess Anne, Mrs. Mark Phillips, will ride Aldernate over 1 mile course at Cheltenham Racecourse, Gloucestershire, in aid of the Bob Champion Cancer Trust. Evening, the Prince of Wales will dine with the Royal Thames Yacht Club, 60 Knightsbridge, London, Southwest 1, to mark his appointment as Admiral of the club. The Duke of Edinburgh, patron, will also attend. Evening, the Princess of Wales will attend a gala performance of the jazz ballet Night Creature by the London Festival Ballet at the Hippodrome, Leicester Square, London, WC2. The Duchess of York will attend a performance of Swan Lake by the Northern Ballet at the Theatre Royal, Bath. Oh my goodness. So, I mean, wouldn't it be fun to grab this magazine in March of 87 and just show up at the entrance? You'd be able to see them walk in. What a thrill. Ooh. Inside the Windsor's Paris Mansion. The Duchess of Windsor's fabulous jewel collection goes on sale in Switzerland soon, but the multimillionaire who bought the Windsor's Paris mansion has started its renovation and is to turn it into an exquisite private museum dedicated to their memory. The elegant Windsors and the silk-padded dressing table in the Duchess's boudoir, with its 30s glass lamps and photograph of the Duke guarded by miniatures of her beloved pug dogs. There. Oh, look, it's like his photograph printed on glass. Isn't that something? Still lying on the Steinway grand piano in the Paris mansion where the Duke and Duchess of Windsor lived and died is sheet music which symbolically captures one of the century's greatest love stories. Mr. Wonderful, I Love Paris, and Something's Gotta Give are there. The heavy symbolism which can be read into that last royal favorite is that, as Edward VIII, the Duke gave up his throne for his beloved Wallace. Oh, beautiful. The Paris mansion's new owner, Mohammed Fayed, poses by the portrait of the Duchess in the library. The Duke's desk, opposite his baronial bed, with its tapestry with the royal coat of arms, has pictures of the Duchess, schoolboy-like pencil boxes, a golf putter letter opener, and dictionaries in 4 languages. It's right here. The elegant library, dominated by the Duchess's portrait, and far left, everything that a man of fashion required. Their home in the leafy solitude of the Bois de Boulogne in Paris is silent, but once again in impeccable shape after extensive renovation. It was eerily silent for most of the last years of the Duchess's life before she died there on April 24 last year. Now the lovers lie beside each other in Frogmore, Windsor, where the Queen granted their burial, reunited in death and finally at peace with his family. But a visit to their Paris home reveals and revives in the mind, I'm always bad at this word, halcyon days of the Windsors at their most zestful and flamboyant. The city of Paris, which owns the mansion, has signed a 50-year lease for it to become the property of millionaire businessman Mohammed Fayed, the owner of Harrods and the other 100-plus House of Fraser stores. in Britain. He is renowned for collecting institutions from Harrods and the Ritz in Paris to even Turnbull and Asser, the London shirtmakers who made Winston Churchill's wartime siren suits. Now he is spending $2 million on a renovation scheme as part of his intention to turn the Windsors' former home into an exquisite private museum dedicated to their memory. Mr. Fayed intends to have some apartments at the top of the mansion for himself, but the couple's home, with the furnishings and memorabilia bought by him from the late Duchess's estate, will be a shrine devoted to their life and elegance. The stateliness of the Windsors' lives in exile surfaces in everything, from the Duke's books in the library. Wow. Shackleton's The Heart of the Antarctic, The History of the American People, The Assault on Everest, 1922, to the art in the bathroom. A gouache painting of the Duchess in a décolleté yellow top hangs above the porcelain bath. Oh yes, it's that famous one that's all blue. It's so gorgeous. Symbolic poetry by Tennyson and Shakespeare above, which the Duke had framed and placed in his bedroom. The mansion's imposing staircase, a historic family picture of three kings, has pride of place on an ornate table. George V and two sons who succeeded him. The Yves Saint Laurent love paintings, the Duchess's Art Deco bathroom, the Steinway piano in the blue salon, on which Cole Porter played, and guarded again by one of the Duchess's beloved pugs. Love, love, love becomes the motif about much of the ambiance of their home, quite properly considering all that the Duke had forsaken for his belle from Baltimore. Yves Saint Laurent painted them a plaque in 1970 with the word love in capitals, with serpents entwined round each letter. The Duchess loved serpent jewelry, and it hangs today in the marble loo inside the imposing front door. Another Saint Laurent love painting hangs outside near the blue-veined marble hand basin, and another, the last, Love, 1972, the year the Duke died, has the letters framed in a blazing red sunset, with the O in the shape of a heart. Sadly, the laughter evaporated from their salon a decade and a half ago with the death of the man born to be king, but it remains stylishly decorated in pale blue with the imprint of the Duchess's decorator and friend, Janssen. And its new owner has begun the renovations in earnest and with loving care. W.S. Samuels, our expert on matters monarchical, answers your queries. The cost of the monarchy. What is the civil list, and who decides who gets what from the money it provides? Mrs. Elizabeth Webster, Painswick, Gloucester. The civil list is money annually provided by the British Parliament for the Queen for the upkeep of royal palaces, payments to staff and other expenses, and for senior members of the royal family. In 1985, the allocation was as follows. The Queen received £3,976,200, the Queen Mother £345,300, the Duke of Edinburgh £192,600, the Duke of York £20,000, Prince Edward £20,000, Princess Anne £120,000, Princess Margaret £116,800, Princess Alice of Gloucester £47,300. Sums are allocated to the Duke of Gloucester, £94,000, the Duke of Kent, £127,000, and Princess Alexandra, £120,900. But this total sum of £341,900 is refunded to the government by the Queen, making the total cost of the country for the royal family in 1985 of £4,838,200. Annual wrangling over the civil list, with the Labour MP Willie Hamilton, usually the most vociferous critic, seems to have abated in recent years, although there was never any sign of popular support in the country for these criticisms. At this sum, many countries operating a republican system would regard the cost of our royal family as constituting something of a bargain. I think that's true. I'm sure that's true. What are the origins of trooping? The first trooping. I was sad to read that the Queen will no longer ride the splendid Burmese at the trooping the color ceremony, but it made me realize that I have no idea of the origin of this marvelous piece of pageantry. Can you help? Alison Blaine, Manchester. Wythenshawe, maybe. Since the formation of the Guards regiments, after the restoration of Charles II, the sovereign has always enjoyed a special relationship with those who have the special duty of protecting him/her. The ceremony of presenting new colors, as we know it now, began in 1755 in the reign of George II. A Brazilian spectacle in China. One of Her Majesty's favorites. Can you explain the history of the jewels that Her Majesty the Queen is wearing in the picture taken in China and shown in your December issue? I don't remember any member of the royal family wearing them before. They are quite exquisite. Mrs. Charlene W. Diggs. Silver Spring, Maryland, USA. That's the Silver Spring that inspired Stevie Nicks to write Silver Springs. You know, it's all over reels now because the youngins are just realizing it exists. But, oh, how lovely, Maryland, USA. The jewels, see picture above, are probably the square-cut aquamarine and diamond necklace and earrings presented to the Queen by the President and people of Brazil as coronation gifts in 1953. In 1955, they added a matching bracelet, and Her Majesty had an aquamarine and diamond tiara made to complete the suite. Apparently, the necklace is one of her 4 favorite pieces of jewelry. It is exquisite. That is true. The fabulous Windsor jewels. More than 250 pieces of jewelry from the Duchess of Windsor's collection go on sale in Geneva in April. We preview some of the more fabulous pieces. The April issue is on sale Thursday, March 19. Order your copy now. Who's the queen of the ski slopes? The young royals are doing their stuff on the ski slopes again. But who's the queen of the slopes? Find out next month in our report on the royal trip to Closters. And that's the end. Oh no. See, I paid $1.49 at my local thrift, and I'm going to try to gently remove this so that I can read, oh no, the caption. I don't know if it'll... It's not damaging the magazine, it's just that the sticker itself doesn't want to come off. Okay, we're almost there. That must say headscarf. Yep. Okay. A casual Anne down under for the cup. A few eyebrows were raised at the exclusive Royal Perth Yacht Club when Princess Anne turned up dressed in jeans and headscarf. Normal garb at equestrian events here, but not done among the smart yachting fraternity who had been packing the Western Australian capital for the final stages of the America's Cup. Well, that is it. That was a nice little read. Okay, I will see you very, very soon. Bye.